Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you to today's webinar, Payroll Plus Demystified. I'm excited to get you a chance to learn more about Payroll Plus and all the different things it can do for your business and probably answer a lot of the questions that you have on a regular basis. I know many of you have been on our webinars before, but we're going to talk about some of just the housekeeping things. So if you want to go to the next slide, Caleb. Anytime throughout today's webinar, you'll see the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and enter in your questions as you think of them, and we'll be answering those online as we go. And then we'll also allow some time at the end of today's webinar to do some live Q&A. But if you think of something as Caleb's presenting, please go ahead and put your questions in. We're excited today that also on our panelist is we have Becky Terrell. And I'm sure many of you who've worked with Payroll Plus are familiar with Becky, but Becky, if you want to do just a short introduction, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Becky Terrell, and I work with the payroll implementation, and I have been with Lightspeed for 13 years now.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. We're excited to have you as a panelist. And then we'll move to the next slide. And I'd love to introduce today's presenter, which is Caleb Jones. And Caleb, if you want to do a little bit of an introduction, that'd be great.
Hey, everybody. My name's Caleb. I'm a team member at Lightspeed. I work on the support side. Currently, I'm the technical support lead and the payroll support specialist of the support team. And I've worked at Lightspeed for a couple of years, since 22.
Excellent. Well, we're excited to have Caleb and Becky here. And with that, we're going to let you jump right into today's webinar. Thanks, Caleb.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, let's hop right into it. So this is the agenda for today. We'll start with the introduction. We'll move to the services that ADP offers. Then we'll go into running a payroll, how Lightspeed and Payroll Plus integrate together. We'll move into reporting, talk about tax notices that you might receive from the state or federal government. Then we'll look at the employee experience, and we'll look at our Canadian alternative called PayWorks. And then at the very end, we'll move into a Q&A. So as an introduction, Payroll Plus integrates seamlessly into Lightspeed. It's a super useful piece of software that you can integrate into your business. If you were using a normal payroll software that doesn't integrate with Lightspeed, you might have to make manual journal entries. With Payroll Plus, you don't have to do that. It makes entries for you. They're transported right to Lightspeed. In addition to that, it creates invoices on your behalf to pay to vendors that you might owe, taxes, garnishments, things like that. Additionally, you can set it up to create accounts receivable payments. If your employees, say, buy parts with an AR account, you can have them repay that automatically with a deduction. Payroll Plus is included, or it can be included with the accounting module. You pay for nothing except for W-2s and any tax amendments that you'll need. So pretty nice. There are 3 ADP products that you can sign up for, which are included. The first one is Garnishment Payment Service, direct deposit, and tax filing. And W-2s can be shipped directly to your door, wherever you'd like them. And this, unfortunately, is only available in the United States. But the Canadian alternative of PayWorks is available. So there's that. So we'll talk about the services that they offer. Those 3: garnishment, direct deposit, and taxes. First, we'll look at Garnishment Payment Service. ADP will automatically send checks to any payee that you assign, whether that be state agencies or a creditor. There's no hassle. It's awesome. ADP just handles it all for you. So that's pretty great. Direct deposit. You can have it deposit right into your employee accounts. I'm sure most of you know what direct deposit is. You can split it between multiple accounts, which is pretty awesome. And you can actually deposit deductions into specific bank accounts, say for 401k or retirement deductions, things like that. And you can also pull back the deductions and direct deposits from these accounts to correct them or repay them. So makes it pretty easy. Then tax services. ADP would handle all of your tax filing and returns unless you decide otherwise. You can get regular updates on the statuses of your filing, and your tax returns would be included in Payroll Plus after they've been filed by ADP, easily accessible. The most beneficial portion of this service is that ADP advocates on your behalf. So if you have an issue with an agency, ADP will actually reach out to that agency and resolve any issue. So they do all the heavy lifting. It's awesome. Those are the 3 services that they offer currently. So now we're moving into running a payroll. It's very, very easy process. You can view your payroll schedule at a glance, receive notifications if it's overdue, choose from multiple pay frequencies, and you can also pay your 1099 contractors as well as your W-2 employees on the same payroll run. So it's awesome. And you can also record manual checks if you decide to do that. The integration with Lightspeed is fantastic. Like I said, it eliminates journal entries. They are generated automatically, as you can see in the right-hand side picture. This is an example of one payroll run. You can see all of the GL accounts are automatically entered for you. Each earning, deduction, tax, liability, anything is in there automatically for you. Can also include AR deductions, like I said. The account setup for Payroll Plus to see your Lightspeed accounts is extremely easy. 2 clicks is all that's needed. You just click on the account that you need, click Assign, that's it. And this is from the Lightspeed side. It's fantastic. Some common errors that you might see if you do use Payroll Plus. One is this unable to log in error when you're attempting to post a pay run from the payroll communicator. This typically means that Lightspeed can't communicate with your Payroll Plus account. And to resolve it, you simply need to update your password or user ID. It's very, very easy to fix that on your own. So just thought I'd let you know about that one. This is on the Payroll Plus side. Sometimes an email or phone number will already be in use in the system. And if that is the case, you need to locate the phone number or email that's in use and remove it. This can happen if you have one employee who is a payroll admin and they also have an employee account to view their pay stubs. Because the admin account has all of the access and more as the employee account, we just recommend having an admin account. If you notice any other errors or issues with your payroll, you can contact Lightspeed support at our toll-free phone number. You can also head to our support portal and submit a case there. Reporting for Payroll Plus is super effective. It's really great. So there's tax reports. You can get a breakdown of all your taxes. You can take a look at your tax filing liability, whether ADP or your dealership would be liable to file individual tax returns. You can record tax deposits that ADP has made on your behalf, which is pretty helpful. And you get yearly reports. You also have time reports. You can monitor your employees' PTO balances and how much they've used. You can view variance of employees' clock in versus their schedule hours, which we'll get into in a little bit. This is a future feature. And you can track missing punches. There's also benefit reports, which you can use to view retirement contributions and workers' compensation. And you can validate direct deposit details at a glance. Another one is all the MISC reports, just miscellaneous reports in the system. You can preview W-2s before they've been finalized, verify your W-4 information, and view a summary of employee data. There's also custom reports that you can build for any other need that you might have. So you might receive a tax notice from a state agency. Hopefully not, but if you do, it's extremely simple to resolve. It just takes 6 clicks and you just upload that notice in Payroll Plus. There's a specific taxes tab, then you upload it in the notices section, then you click upload, next, and submit. ADP's response time on these is typically 1 to 15 days. So within that time span, you should expect a response. Although it can take longer depending on how complicated the issue might be. Now we'll move into the employee experience. Employees can log in to the employee portal to view their pay, make changes to their W-4 information, and view W-2s if they've signed up for paperless W-2s. It's pretty easy. Here's some snapshots of that. And now we'll move into a live demonstration of the software. So we'll start with the employee clock in. We'll move to running payroll. Then we'll go to the Lightspeed import, paying invoices, and handling tax notices. So let's get over there. I'll switch over to my Lightspeed here. So as you can see, I'm already logged into our Lightspeed database. The first place that will go as an employee would be System and Time Clock. This is where all of your employees will go to clock into the system and record their hours for the day. They can also clock out here as well. So if I just type my password correctly in here, we can see user validated, my name, Caleb Jones. You can see that I clocked in 9 to 5. The duration was 8 hours. Now, you'll notice that it's not 9 a.m. Currently, but I had this preset for our webinar. If your employees want to clock in and they've already clocked in, they can just click the clock in button and it'll add another clock. As an administrator, you can go to System, Time Clock Maintenance to take a look at all of your employees' clocks and validate them. Let's say we have this employee, me, the only employee that works at this dealership, that clocked in twice for a day, and we want to delete one. It's as easy as highlighting the line in the employee, selecting the date, and clicking delete entry. And then we click save. The next step in the process is to export the timesheet. So we'll click the timesheet button at the bottom of the screen there. We'll change the frequency to our pay frequency, which would be bi-weekly. I think we're weekly, actually. We'll change the starting date and ending date. Should actually be the 17th. Anyway, we'll do the 10th until the 17th. Great. We'll select our overtime type. We'll say that straight 40 cumulatively, weekly, and then we'll click load time cards. We can see that in that span of time, I only worked 8 hours with 0 overtime, which is great. If we were to expand that date range to the 17th to the 24th, load those time cards, you can see it calculates all the hours together. The next step would be to select all the employees you'd want to export, then select a file location in your system. I've already selected one, and click save. That saves it to your file system. And the next step would be to go to Payroll Plus. So we can either access that by heading here, clicking Payroll, and then clicking Payroll Access. Or we can go to it manually, which we'll do now. Switch over to my web browser. We'll go to the administrative website. Link to that website is just payrollplus.adp.com. So easy to remember. We'll go ahead and log in. And that brings us to our Payroll Plus installation. This is the actual system that we see when we're running payroll. So you can see we've got an upcoming payroll, we've got top things to do, ton of items in here that we can play around with. But what we want to do is import those hours that we just exported. So we can go to Payroll Actions here in the center of the screen, or we can click on the Payroll tab in the navigation bar on the left. From here, we can click Import Timesheets. We can select the pay frequency, which would be weekly. This allows us to view previous imports that we've made and browse for the import file that we just exported from Lightspeed. We'll go ahead and do that now. So once I locate this file, I'll click open on it. You can see that it will import the file. It'll tell you the file name. Easy peasy. And then we'll click import pay data. You can see this was a prepared file that I saved previously, just like a cooking show where they cook the food prior to the show, right? So let's say we want to import this into our payroll and run a payroll for just this one employee. We would click accept import only. Although if you had a payroll already going, you can click combine payroll and import, and it'll just add these hours to your active payroll. We'll click accept import only, and then we'll click approve. That brings us to our next screen. Looks like we're missing some GL mappings. So we'll head over there quickly and resolve that issue. To map a GL account that's found in the settings, we'll scroll down to the bottom to General Ledger Transactions, and we'll go to Company Mapping. This would be a frequent issue that you would see while handling payroll. And you can see we're missing an account for South Carolina employer unemployment insurance. So we will just map that to an account here. We'll map it to our payroll taxes expense account, and we'll check for the liability. We'll map the liability to the ADP taxes account and the employer portion of that. We'll save that. Now your mappings would probably be different. It's completely up to you what you decide to map. These are just examples. But we'll go back here, import timesheets, go back to weekly and retry that import. So previous, delete previous import, browse for that file one more time, import it and accept it. Approve it. Good stuff. You can see we've got our salaried employees as well as hourly. You can see that I was the only employee that was included in that export, so those hours were brought in just for me. Although your salaried employees would obviously retain their salary amount for each payroll. Great, so we look at these hours and we determine that this is correct, this is accurate, we want to continue. We'll click Preview Payroll, which will bring us to the next page. This page tells us how much cash would be required in the bank account to make this payroll possible. We can see that it would be $19,790.55. We say, awesome, this is fantastic. Oh, I want to take a look at what kind of deductions Caleb had, right? We can just click on my name and get a breakdown of everything in the payroll for each individual employee. Super useful for checking individual taxes and deductions if they're based on percentage or otherwise. Okay. So let's say this is a great payroll. We want to approve it. We'll just click approve, approve again, and then it will process. Easy as that. It'll give us a summary here, and we can view and manage reports, payroll summary, details, liability report. Great stuff. We'll click on done. Now, this typically would be every step that's done in the payroll application. So from here, we'll move back to Lightspeed and import that file. So here we are back at Lightspeed. Close out of here, and we'll go to the payroll communicator. This is great. This shows every action that's been done to integrate between Payroll Plus and Lightspeed. So every account that had been added and every pay run that had been run. In this case, every pay run that has been removed. So the next step that we'll go to is process runs up in the top right. You can click that and we'll see the pay run pulled through. See that right there, all of our employees. Now we're going to click process with blank check numbers because we paid with direct deposit rather than a check. You can see that the payroll processor shows you the beginning, end date, and the check date of this payroll. It also shows the GL posting date, which you can change from the Payroll Plus side if you'd like to backdate or future date something. On the right-hand side, we can see each employee. You can click into them and view their individual mappings. We can see that Norman Baker has a garnishment, and that garnishment is scheduled to go to a vendor. That's what the V stands for. The vendor's name is ADP Garnishments. So we'll say this looks great. All these accounts are awesome, exactly where I want them to go. We'll click Post Pay Run, and it has been successfully processed. We'll click OK and cancel. The next step would be to pay these invoices to the vendors so that we can reconcile our bank account more easily. We'll go to Payables and Pay Invoices. You'll notice that we have 4 vendors with due amounts, specifically from that payroll. We can go into each and look at how much we owe for each vendor. Now, the typical process for a dealer, and this would change dealer to dealer, just depending on how you'd want to process your payroll and pay your invoices. But this is the most common that I've seen in support. And I'm sure this is the most common that the implementation team has seen as well. We'll see dealers pay all of these invoices under the ADP taxes, garnishments, and direct deposit vendors, and then any retirement or other vendor deductions, then we'll see them pay uniquely under their own vendor. So we'll go ahead and pay these. What I'm going to do is just select them all and then select all the invoices therein. We can click Pay My Selected or Pay All Selected in this case. You want to be careful with Pay All Selected if you have multiple users in Pay Invoices, obviously. So we'll click Pay My Selected here. We see all these vendors are set up to be paid. Great, great stuff. We can look at the individual amounts between each vendor, which should match the line items in your bank account. Now, the reason why it is beneficial to pay these vendors separately is because ADP will debit your bank account individually for these amounts. So you'll see one lump sum for direct deposits, garnishments, and then taxes separately. And then, of course, you would pay your 401k company how you'd like. So I don't want to print a check here. I do want it to come from the EFT transaction type in my main checking account. And I do want the transaction to be today. You can change that to any date. This is just typical pay invoices screen. So we'll click pay, we'll click continue, and that will take a moment because it's a lot of invoices. But from there, we can view those amounts in our bank, right? We go to the checking account. These should reconcile exactly with your real life bank account, which is fantastic. The next thing that we'll move into is handling tax notices. So let's say you receive a notice from the state and they're saying that you owe money for taxes, whatever it might be. Let me move back to Payroll Plus and I'll show you how that would typically be handled. So we'll move back to the home page. So the first step that you'd want to do is take a scan of that tax notice or any state notice or federal notice. You just want to get that notice scanned and input it into your computer as a PDF file. Next, we'll move to taxes. Now, you should be aware that these steps should only be followed if you have the tax filing product and that state is set for ADP to file on your behalf. So let's say that all those things are true. We'll go to tax and SUI notices. This is an area where you can upload tax notices from the state or federal government, like I was saying. You can also upload state unemployment insurance rate change notices here as well, and ADP can correct those for you. We'll just do a tax notice though. So I'm going to click Upload Tax Notice, Upload File. I'm going to select the file, click Next, and this is where you would decide, we just want them to research the notice and let us know why they are asking for money. We'll say that this notice was received in October on the 1st, and the tax period is about the second quarter. We'll say that this tax notice is asking for money and it's asking for $150. You can also add any special instructions here that you'd want the ADP tax team to specifically look for. If you have no special instructions, you can leave it blank. We'll click Finish. And it looks like, our file is too large for this. Although if it weren't, we'd be able to see that the notice was successfully uploaded and inputted on this tax notice page right here. From this page, you would be able to take a look at the notice status and see where ADP is at with it from a glance. You would also be able to see ADP's response to the notice from this page when the notice has been completed by the tax team. Great, so that's it for the live demo. Let's move back to the PowerPoint. The next thing I want to talk about is future products that have been announced by ADP for 2026. The first one is timekeeping. This ties back into the reporting section where I mentioned briefly that you can monitor your exception reports for clocking your employees' hours. Your employees can actually clock in and out via their ADP account. Your management team can review the team's schedule, their time cards, and track the locations of which they clocked. They can also clock in and out via biometrics, so a face scan or a badge entry. They can also just use their password. The next thing is workers' comp. You can view active policies that you might have, create certificates for these active policies. You can export any reports that you might need for audits. This workers' comp is a pay-by-pay system. So each time you pay your employees, you would pay workers' comp. It's not one lump sum, it's each payroll. And you can compare premiums. The next item is HR. Obviously, you can already hire, onboard, terminate, and rehire employees. But with this new feature, you'd be able to track performance, conduct performance reviews, and report on those reviews. You can also attend compliance and guidance webinars for HR. They have podcasts as well as newsletters. So super useful stuff. The last item is 401k. This is ADP's integrated 401k solution. It's set in Payroll Plus specifically. You don't have to leave the page. If you need support with 401ks or questions answered, you would not contact Lightspeed. You would contact ADP's certified team members to answer these questions. This is also seamlessly integrated with Payroll Plus. Now, if you're a Canadian dealer, you might be worried that Payroll Plus is just in the United States. We have another solution for Canadian dealers called Payworks. Now, this solution would be an outside fee from Lightspeed. It would not be included in the accounting module. So I can't really speak to how much it would cost, but the products that they offer are payroll, HR, absence management, time management. They can track applicants, have analytics of your workforce. They have advisory services for HR, similar to the new feature in Payroll Plus. Managed payroll services. They have integrated benefits and a self-service portal, which is great. If you are a Canadian dealership and you're interested in Payworks, feel free to contact them at the National Service Center. They have a toll-free phone number right there on the screen. They also have a website where you can contact them, or you can scan the QR code. Now, one thing to note is Lightspeed support does not provide assistance with Payworks outside of the Lightspeed application. You'd need to reach out to Payworks directly for support. Although Payworks does integrate into Lightspeed to generate journal entries, just like Payroll Plus did. Great. And that's all I had.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Caleb. Excellent overview of Payroll Plus. And of course, you talking about a cooking show probably made everybody hungry. So thanks for that as well. But great stuff to get started with. I know we've had quite a few questions come in throughout today's webinar too. And I will look kind of to Becky and Quentin who have had time to kind of watch those as they're coming in. One question I can address is people are just asking if today's webinar is recorded and if the PowerPoint's available, because I want to be able to see the screenshots up close. And we do record all of our webinars. They're available on our website on our on-demand webinars. They're also available through our webinar portal, which we'll share with you. They're also always in the monthly tune-up, so you can find the link there as well. But with that, I don't know, Becky, if Quentin, if there's other questions that came in that you want to kind of address for everybody that's attending today.
Man, Becky's just been killing it, honestly. She's got every single question that has appeared in there. I've been really impressed. So if anyone has any questions lingering, please feel free to submit them. We'll wait for some questions to roll in. But yeah, Becky's been on it. Well done.
I'll just read a couple of questions that have come through if you guys want me to, so that everybody, in case everybody hasn't had a chance to look. So one of them, Caleb had actually pointed to as well. We have issues with duplicate numbers in Payroll Plus. So if you have a phone number that's not being loaded, It just means you need to reach out to Lightspeed so we can help you find the duplicate and get rid of it so that we can have the new one uploaded for you. So that's something that we can help with at support. Let's see. Somebody asked if we, yeah, I was gonna say,
go
sorry.
ahead, Becky.
I was gonna say,
no, go ahead.
They were asking if employees had to have a login for Lightspeed or had access to Lightspeed for the time clock. And yes, they have to have access to Lightspeed or at least a login, but they don't have to have access to everything. You could just click the F12 and have a drop down and then type in a password to use it. So it doesn't have to be a long-term use on that for people.
Awesome. You know, one thing I did see come through, there were a couple of questions about features that might not be within Lightspeed. Obviously, if it's something within Lightspeed like a permission, I would highly recommend you go to our idea exchange in the customer portal and submit a just a request for that to be added to the system. If it's something inside of Payroll Plus, obviously we don't have very much control over that at all. We can also, you know, send them requests for product features, but yeah, not the same process there. Anything to add to that, Caleb?
No, you pretty much hit the nail on the head right there. It's great.
Yeah, and I do think it was exciting, Caleb, where you showed some of the new functionality that ADP is adding coming out. I mean, from an HR generalist at a company, I mean, some great tools they can use with those, you know, podcasts, webinars, even just kind of for HR how-tos. So, and some good additional functionality in the product as well. So fun to see that. And of course, we're also getting tons of kudos coming in just for Becky. So Becky, thank you. Obviously, our Payroll Plus customers really know who you are and appreciate all the help that you provide. So thanks for that from everybody. I don't know if there's any other questions that I've seen. I think that probably wraps them up. So I want to just thank Caleb again for an excellent presentation and thank all of you for attending today. And if you have additional questions, I mean, be sure to reach out to our tech support team. We're happy to address any other questions you might have. I'm also going to drop into the chat just the registration for an upcoming webinar. We do have a year-end webinar that's coming up on December 17th. So just a little plug for that. If you're looking for tips and tricks for how to manage your year-end, make sure you register for that webinar as well. So thanks again, everybody, for your time today, and we hope to see you on one of our next webinars. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.